Davion Clowney PTSD when I look at single game performances and drafting someone very high. But Aiden Hutchinson's been doing it all year, guys. This isn't just a
Right.
one game flash in the pan. This guy's been performing well all season. So
Yeah.
just wanted to do a little note
Yeah.
on that.
And the thing for me that makes me think that he is NFL ready was his post game interview. It wasn't about his performance, right? He didn't
Right.
one time bring up that he had 3 sacks, 6 tackles, and he was in the backfield. I don't know. Let's call it
No,
over
he gets
half the
he
time.
gets his mail delivered there. The fucker lives there.
He immediately said in the post game interview, he said, "This is the best game we've played as a team." That is a
Hey,
leader. That is a leader. That's the definition of a leader.
yeah, absolutely. And at the right time, mind you. You know, this
Right.
is this is exactly when it should happen for them. So
Yeah, you just hope he can carry that humility to the next level. Hopefully,
In
yeah.
that 6'5", 290-pound frame. That helps him a little
I don't
bit.
think. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna be a problem.
So speaking of the game and speaking of I apologize. Sorry. Speaking of its impact, rather, new college football playoff rankings are out, ladies and gentlemen. Would you like to hear the top 10?
Give it to me.
All right. So sitting at number 10, moving up one slot to 10-2, you have the Oregon Ducks, followed at number 9 by Baylor, moving down a slot at 10-2. Moving up one slot from 9 to 8, you have Ole Miss at 10-2. Dropping 5 slots to number 7 is the Ohio State University. Sitting comfortable. Yeah, big fall for the Buckeyes. Big fall from grace. Absolutely eliminated from any relevance in the college football playoff conversation now at 10-2. Will not be traveling to Indianapolis this Saturday. At 11-1, number 6, remaining at number 6, you have the head coachless Notre Dame Fighting Irish, which we will get to here in a little bit. At number 5, moving up 2 slots, and now potentially the number 1 contender for that 4th and final slot, pending the result of the SEC championship game, the Oklahoma State Cowboys, sitting at number 5. At number 4, you have the University of Cincinnati at 12-0. At number 3, the University of Alabama. At number 2, the University of Michigan, moving up 3 slots after that ass beating of Ohio State. Michigan firmly sitting at the top of the standings, only bested by the undefeated and the seemingly unbeatable Georgia Bulldogs, who will face off with Alabama in Atlanta this weekend for the SEC championship game. So, recap: Georgia, Michigan, Bama, Cincinnati. The first 2 out, Oklahoma State and Notre Dame, seemingly the only 2 that could be viable options to replace Alabama should they lose this weekend against Georgia. If they lose this weekend against Georgia, though, Notre Dame does not have the benefit of having a conference championship game. Oklahoma State does. Oklahoma State is going to be playing this weekend against Baylor, which would be another resume booster. If they were to beat Baylor in the Big 12 championship game, Alabama loses, they have to be the next in, right? It has to be Oklahoma in at Oklahoma State at number 4. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it's got to be the Cowboys.
Yeah.
It's the thing that makes the most sense. Now, here's what I'll say. I could still foresee some sort of thing happening where the University of Cincinnati playing Houston this weekend for the American Championship. That game ends up being close, and UC squeaks by. Oklahoma State beats Baylor. Notre Dame has no game. Somehow, Oklahoma State moves up to 3. Notre Dame squeaks in at 4. I could certainly foresee that happening.
Wow.
Right?
Even though Notre Dame's only loss is to Cincinnati, you think that would happen?
That I'm not saying that's out of the realm of possibility. Now, I think that that's a Hail Mary. I don't think that happens.
Is there a pun intended there?
Here's what I think happens.
A Catholic pun?
No Catholic puns. Here's what I think happens. Georgia handles Alabama because Alabama barely handled Auburn, and they're a little torn and tattered after that's a long game that they played against Auburn.
Sure.
That was a 4 overtime game, and they fought hard. Georgia coming off of a basically first half starting victory against Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to be well rested, and they're going to be fucking hungry.
Yeah.
Hungry to beat Alabama because all the last 5 weeks everybody has said is, well, Georgia has to beat Alabama to, and Alabama could still beat Georgia in the SEC championship. And I just think Kirby's just sick of it. I think he's just sick of hearing, well, Alabama can still beat Georgia. I think that they're going to come in and this is going to be a run up the score kind of situation. Sure. I think it is. The gloves are off. It's Kirby and Saban one-on-one, and Kirby's just throwing haymakers all first half. And I could foresee this being a 4 or 5 touchdown win for Georgia.
So let's walk down that road a little bit. Let's look at we're going to go through every conference championship game this weekend, and we're going to go ahead and make our picks. So let's first start with that SEC championship game. You got Georgia and Alabama, a game that's not a rematch. They haven't met yet this year. Todd clearly taking the Bulldogs big in this one. If we could, let's get a little bit of spread action on this one. Let's see. ESPN, you bastards. You're not going to give it to me, are you? All right, I'll pull it up. Anyway, Bobby, any initial thoughts on this Georgia-Alabama matchup? I think it's like 6 points.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be 5 touchdowns, but yeah, I mean, I still think Georgia rolls. I mean, I think they roll by at least 20.
Wow.
I don't think anybody's gonna beat Georgia. I don't think Alabama's gonna get close.
See, I don't see this as that big of a blowout. I see this as a nail biter game the whole way down. I do have Georgia winning, but I have a hard time thinking that Nick Saban's not going to get his team ready. I have a hard time thinking that they're not going to play well. They have lost only one game. Let's be very clear. It's not like they lost to Vanderbilt. This team has proven to us over the last decade that you can't count them out. Even the years that they stumbled into the playoff, they seemingly walk away with that trophy. So I think it is going to be close. I do see Georgia as the winner in this game. It's going to be a good football game. So we all three taking Georgia here on that one. In the Pac-12 championship, a rematch of a game just 2 weeks ago that really is the reason Cincinnati's sitting in the college football playoff right now. Oregon taking on Utah, 8 p.m. on Friday. We got some Friday football this week. Excited about that. The Utes at 17, the Ducks at 10. Who do we see taking this one?
I don't see Utah beating Oregon twice. I think Oregon. I will 120% be tuning into that game and doing my damnedest to stay up for the entirety of it. But I see Oregon taking that one.
I'm taking the best jerseys in the land. So,
the boys in Eugene.
So did you see Utah's helmets when they played Oregon?
I did not.
Oh, they were so sexy. They were sexy.
You Google that when we get done.
They were.
They were.
USS Salt Lake is what they and they had a battleship for Veterans Day on the side of their helmets. They were so cool.
Right, I'm gonna check these out.
Check those out. But I'm gonna break stride here. I'm going with the Utes. I'm going with the U. And I think the way that they played the last matchup just demonstrated that this team is built for beating Oregon. The way that they played defense, they absolutely shut them down.
That shit's tight, by the way.
The helmet. Yeah, the helmet's sick.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think defensively, Utah is just a very exciting team, and they match up really, really well against Oregon. I think they take care of business again. So, I'm also completely
Look, Utah has a very meaty running game. They have 3 guys that are
Yep.
potential 100-yard rushers. And the thing that they do really well that really is what beat Oregon is they slow the game down. Oregon has to play faster. They don't win. That's why they beat Ohio State. They were better conditioned and they beat them at the end of the game. If Utah can slow down Oregon, I think Corey's right. I think that this is Utah's game to win. But Oregon. It just feels like Oregon is going to be. I mean, there's a lot of skin in the game for Oregon because this is the reason why they're not in the college football playoff.
Sure.
And they want that $1 million bowl.
Sure. And I think that Oregon potentially still going to get into a pretty decently sized bowl game just based on the money that they would generate for it. But just a little note a note here about the defensive schemes of these teams. Oregon typically averages about 220 yards passing a game. Utah allows just 199 yards passing per game. On the flip side of that, Oregon allows 247 yards in the air every game. 247. Wow. That's crazy. That is crazy. Both teams average about 125 on the ground, given up defensively. In terms of rushing the football, they're both about the same. In terms of passing the football, they're just about the same. But it's the pass defense for the Utes that really is the difference maker here for me when I'm looking at this matchup. So going to be interesting for sure. On Saturday at noon on ABC, we got Baylor taking on Oklahoma State, I believe, in Jerry World, if I'm not mistaken. I think this one is at AT&T Stadium in Dallas. Oklahoma State versus Baylor. Who you guys got?
I'm taking Baylor. I think that that's a really look. Oklahoma State's offense is powerful, but I think Baylor's offense is bigger, stronger, and on the defensive side of the ball. Realistically, they defend the ball better than Oklahoma did or does. They give up less points per game. They're one of the better defenses. They're the best defense in the Big 12, and I think that this is a nail biter for sure, and I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. But I'm taking Baylor.
So as good as you think Baylor's defense is, statistically speaking, Oklahoma State's defense is better. Baylor allows 19.4 points a game, while Oklahoma State at 16.4. 16.4 points a game in the Big 12. Now, 19 is not something to scoff at. That's a hell of a defense, right? 16.4 though. Whew. Not even 3 scores. It's absolutely insane. Looking at the passing defense again, 184 yards to the air for Oklahoma State, 91 yards on the ground allowed per game for Oklahoma State. I'm going with the defense here. Defense wins championships, especially if you can shut down the offenses in the Pac-12 or in the Big 12. I'm going to roll with you. So I got the Cowboys in this one.
Yeah, one Cowboys team's gotta look good in Jerry World.
Love it. So let's see. We got a couple. Let's go 3 more that I want to talk about before we move on to some big things happening in the world of college football. But UC versus Houston. Bearcats looking to protect an undefeated season, move to 13-0, get the American Conference Championship. This is on 4:00 on ABC. Seemingly ABC has every good game pretty much for Saturday.
Makes sense.
So the mouse prevails, right? 21 Houston at 11-1 faced on the number 4 playoff hopeful Bearcats. Who we got?
Give me the Cats. Houston's tough though. Houston hasn't lost since week 1. They've won every single game since week 1. There will be a lot of points scored in this game. And UC's defense has been stellar this year. But Houston can air it out. That quarterback in Houston is seemingly going to give Desmond Ridder the run for the money for the American Conference Quarterback of the Year. But I'm taking the Kitty Cats. I got to go with my homer here.
So Todd's going with 82.6% of the country. Bobby, who are you taking?
I will also fall in line with that percentage.
Yeah,
I just want to see something great happen for Cincinnati. It has to happen.
I think it would be amazing. I really hope that is the way. And I'm gonna go with defense again. While everyone's gonna talk about these two quarterbacks who have eerily similar season averages. This cat tune for the Cougars is a cat fight, by the way. Cougars and Bearcats. Well, is a Bearcat technically a bear or is it technically a cat?
It's a cat. It's a kitty cat.
Interesting.
Falls in the feline family.
It's kind of like a liger.
So Tune has a 244 for 355, 3,013 yards, 26 tutties, and 8 picks. Desmond Ritter, 223 of 338, 3,000 yards, 27 tutties, and 8 picks. Eerily similar. Everybody's going to focus on these offense, but let's look at the defense. Houston allowing 19.8 points per game. Pretty good. The Bearcats, however, 15.8 points per game. Excellent. Most excellent. And I listened to Luke Fickell's a note from his press conference today. They asked him about the Notre Dame job. He said, to be honest with you, I didn't know it was available. You're telling me it's available now. That's cool. I don't know. I don't talk to anybody. This team is focused. There's a lot of noise going around. This team has one thing in mind, and that is a national championship. They're looking ahead at the bigger picture, and they're going to take care of business at Houston this weekend. So excited to see that.
Yeah, that might be the words I actually believe. Like Brian Kelly said he wasn't going anywhere, and then he got his dream job. And then Brian Kelly left his dream job to go to Louisiana to coach Tigers.
So I watched Fickell's interview, and when he said that, I got full body goosebumps because I fully believed it. That was no bullshit in that statement.
But here's the thing. He didn't say he wasn't going anywhere.
No, he did not. But I get goosebumps when a guy says, "Hey, that's cool. I don't talk to anybody." I believe that. I believe that he is focused on them winning a national championship. He's not letting the shit that's going on outside of his bubble affect him winning.
Yeah,
I'm with Corey. There's a good chance that he leaves.
We'll get to this here in a little bit. We got one more conference championship game to pick, and that is going to be in Indianapolis at 8 p.m. on Fox. Michigan with a chance to get into the college football playoff, something that we probably would not have predicted 1 year, 2 years ago. Definitely not with the way that they have been playing. At 11-1, taking on the 10-2 Iowa Hawkeyes. Now, as an agent of chaos, as someone that loves chaos, could you imagine if Michigan loses this fucking game? Could you imagine if Michigan loses? Cincinnati's in. They're in. They win and they're in. It's not even a question, right?
Yeah.
So they could win by half a point, impossibility, but nonetheless they could, and they'd still be in. But who are we taking in this one? Hard to bet against the Wolverines after that performance.
Yeah,
right?
My heart wants the Hawkeyes, but I just don't. I don't think that defense of Michigan is just going to be.
Here's the thing, boys. This is Big Ten football.
Yeah.
And there has been no clear-cut victor in the Big Ten this year.
Nope.
We've seen Penn State, Michigan State, Iowa, Wisconsin, Ohio State, and now Michigan all be atop of that Big Ten leaderboard.
Yep.
And Iowa's out for blood, boys.
Oh, yeah.
Iowa wants to defend that title. And I think Michigan wins, but this is a great weekend of football. Because there's a lot. This is the first year in a while where the college football playoffs is like completely up in the air, and there's a lot of parameters affecting multiple teams from one to seven, really. But I'm taking the Wolverines. I'm with Bobby. It's again, if we're talking defense wins championships, it's hard for me to bet against that Michigan defense.
So Michigan's defense is good, but let me tell you about that Hawkeyes defense. They have one of the best rush defenses in the Big Ten. averaging 105 yards on the ground. That's what they give up.
They're certainly going to be tested this week. That's for damn
They
sure.
absolutely are. So I am taking the Wolverines. I do think Michigan's going to win this one and get into the playoff. But if the Hawkeyes rush defense can step up, that's their best characteristic rather as a team. They give up 210 yards through the air. They only average $120 on the ground, 177 on the ground. Through the air. They only score 25 points a game. However, both of these defenses only give up 17 points a game. Michigan averages 37 points a game on offense. The only way the Hawkeyes have a chance is if they can accentuate their best aspect, and that is their rush defense. But I think it's just too much. Michigan has developed as not just a running team, but they also are starting to gain the ability to throw the ball. So going to be pretty interesting, but I got the Wolverines in this one. Going to be a fun weekend of college football. One team that doesn't have a conference championship game, though, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, are without a coach. You alluded to a little bit earlier, Bobby. Brian Kelly's on the move, man. He's going. He walked away from his dream job. This is his dream job. So it raises the question, is Brian Kelly Satan? Is he the devil?
So coming from,
you can make an argument for it.
I'm going to in a minute here.
Look, he is the winningest coach in Notre Dame history. He has certainly left his impact on the legacy that is Notre Dame football. However, you can't
Has he?
go to your, yeah, absolutely.
How?
He's the winningest coach of the university.
0 national championships.
Doesn't matter. Lou Holtz won a national championship at a time where college football was down. That's we're talking completely different conversation.
Go ahead.
SEC,
Go ahead.
The SEC wasn't the powerhouse that it is now.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So Brian Kelly, winningest coach in Notre Dame, leaving his dream job to go to the SEC, right? Logistically, that's the right move for him to make. But it is showing the chink in his armor that is his lack of character that he possesses. I think I know for a fact he was exposed for social media telling his team before he could tell his team, and then held a 10-minute player conference to tell them that that he was leaving. If I am a player on Notre Dame, I am left with salt in every open wound, because that is a complete slap in the face to those guys in Notre Dame.
Yep.
Those guys worked super hard. His coaching staff has worked day and night, because at one point in time they weren't even in the top 40 for recruiting 4 or 5 years ago, and that was a top 10 recruiting class that they brought in this year. And he just left. And look, again, going to the SEC makes sense. It does. It does. There's no argument to that. But Brian Kelly's just an asshole. That's just what it comes down to.
Yeah, he's just so a little trajectory on Brian Kelly. Grand Valley State, national championship winner at Grand Valley State, moved to Central Michigan University. Great recruiting at Central Michigan University. I believe he even recruited Antonio Brown, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. He didn't coach them, but he recruited them. Moved on to the University of Cincinnati, took them to an undefeated season. They had some trouble in the Sugar Bowl that year, but a great season nonetheless. And said that he specifically said, I am not going to be leaving the University of Cincinnati. Left before their Sugar Bowl game to go to Notre Dame. Now, couldn't really blame him for that move. Right. So at that time, Cincinnati was not where they are right now. They weren't a preseason top 10 team. They kind of came out of nowhere that year and performed really well. And he took the next step to Notre Dame. It makes sense. They also didn't have a pending deal with the fucking Big 12 coming up. So it made sense. In my opinion, this move is cowardice. It's lateral to me. If you can't win at Notre Dame, if you can't win a national championship at Notre Dame, why could you win one at LSU? You have so many more benefits at Notre Dame, being that You have the freedom to schedule whoever the fuck you want. You play Army and Navy every year. That's your Vanderbilt. That's your South Carolina. Those are your warm-up games. You get to do cross games against the ACC. You get to do cross games with the Big Ten. You get to do cross games with the Pac-12 and play USC, Michigan. You can play Penn State. You can play Clemson. They've played Clemson sometimes. Sometimes they play Alabama. He's failed to beat every single one of those teams. And what I don't want to also hear is that Notre Dame doesn't have the resources LSU does, because that's just not true.
Not true.
Mean, in terms of recruiting, LSU has a better grasp on the southern states, which you could argue more 5-star recruits do come out of the southern states. It's just a statistical fact. But Notre Dame has access to Indiana, Southwest Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania. There's a lot of really good high school football players that they can recruit out of Penn State. Yet he failed to win a national championship there. He's won a lot of games, and he's won a lot of games everywhere he's gone. But do I think LSU will win a national championship in the next 3 years because Brian Kelly is there? No. There's one big behemoth standing in his way that Brian Kelly now gets to get his ass beat by every year, and that's Nick Saban. Every year, they're going to play each other. And I would take Alabama every single time because he's proven on multiple occasions that he's a better coach than him. Also in terms of recruiting, I saw something today that said, "Tell me how Brian Kelly is a good fit for LSU culture. This motherfucker looks like he thinks Sprite is spicy." And I thought that was the most accurate description of Brian Kelly that I have ever heard in my life.
That's true.
I am super biased because I hate LSU and I hate Brian Kelly. So this is just Satan teaming up with Hitler, in my opinion. And I just hate everything about it. I don't like him at all. So it's gonna be interesting. I hope him the worst. I wish him the worst. And I do feel really bad for those guys at Notre Dame, though. I feel bad for the players. I feel really bad for his coaches. I read a report today that said that one of his assistant coaches literally walked out of a recruit's house, checked his phone, and saw the news that Brian Kelly was going to LSU. And he says, "Well, now I look like a fucking asshole." And he's right.
Yeah.
His reputation is now tarnished as a recruiter for going in, looking that kid in the eye and saying, "Brian's going to be our coach. Coach Kelly's going to be our coach. And we're gonna build something with Coach Kelly, and we want you to be a part of that." Now he's gone.
Yeah.
Now he's gone.
Yeah. It's again, that's his character. He is heavily flawed, and he wants to be the knight in shining armor. That's what he's always wanted to be, and that's just not the case.
I mean, I honestly I get moving away from Notre Dame. I said it on last week's or the week before show. I get moving away from Notre Dame. There's been a lot that has been accomplished or a lot that he maybe he reached his peak there. But I also kind of think Notre Dame might just be one of the more overrated programs in the country. Every year we're getting sold this fabrication that Notre Dame is a competitor for the national championship, and every year we're shown why that's not true. They've not been relevant in a national championship conversation for a long time, and when they were, Bama hung 50 on them. It's just I don't know. To me, we're right. It's more name than game for Notre Dame, in my opinion. I don't know if you guys agree or not, but more name than game. So a vacancy at Notre Dame leads the question that a lot of people have been wondering: is this the landing spot for Luke Fickell? Is our Bearcats fans going to be fucked again by Mother Mary over there in South Bend?
No, I think if he goes anywhere, he goes.
Dodging lightning bolts as I say that.
I think if Luke Fickell goes anywhere, he ends up in Oklahoma. I think that is
wow. In the Big 12.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, actually, SEC. It'll be in the SEC.
Did you guys see the deal that Lincoln Riley got to go to USC?
Well, how many a year is it?
It is. It's $110 million over 10 years, and there's also perks. USC bought him 2 houses, totaling over $2 million. He gets 24/7 access to their private jet for him and his family.
His whole family,
not
just his immediate family, his whole family.
Wow.
And there was one
Uncle Ricky wants to get on USC's jet. Guess what? Lincoln checks the box. Uncle Ricky's flying over LA.
Yeah, Uncle Ricky's F-150's in the shop. He needs to get on down to Kroger.
They also sold Lincoln Riley's home in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And they're giving him $500,000.
Yeah.
On top of whatever he sells his house for.
That's crazy. So here's what happened.
You think they wanted him?
Said, USC said, we're tired of sucking. We're tired of not being relevant. We're tired of not being in the conversation for the college football playoff, because they haven't been since the college football playoff has existed. USC has not been in that conversation.
It's been a long time since USC has been a top 10 team.
Like 2005, 2006.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that ballpark.
Was like Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, like the last time they were relevant?
Sam Darnold was the last time that they were relevant, really. Sam Darnold.
They weren't even a top 10 team when Sam Darnold was there.
I think his sophomore year they were. I think they were right around there. They were in that conversation.
2011.
Right. So 10 years. It's which is insane to think about. But so they got tired. They're tired of it. They're tired of not being relevant, and they went out and bought their guy. It's hard, like if you're Lincoln Riley, it's like, how do you walk away from that? They literally threw everything at you. You'd be an idiot.
He's set for life. Him and his family. They're good.
Yeah, and his children. And if you're not an idiot, your children's children, right? If you do fiscally responsible things with that money, make it work for you, your grandchildren are going to be set up for life now. And I think it'll be interesting to see where USC ends up in the next couple of years.
Lincoln Riley he has a knack for finding good quarterback talent, which is something UC has lacked for a while. You can say what you want about Spencer Rattler. Yeah, maybe he didn't pan out, but he was the top recruit in the country, and Oklahoma bagged him. And that's a guy from Arizona. It's not like he was playing high school football in Oklahoma.
Right.
Lincoln Riley got him. Spencer Rattler was very clear that the reason that he signed with Oklahoma is because of Lincoln Riley.
So on top of that, there's a 5-star quarterback that was committed to the University of Oklahoma. After the news of Lincoln Riley, he has decommitted from Oklahoma and has recommitted to the University of Southern California. 5-star quarterback going to USC.
Thank you. You put a nice bow on that. That's exactly what I was getting to.
Gotcha, buddy. So we've got one other coaching change that I think is kind of relevant. Oklahoma is vacant now that Lincoln Riley's there. Florida is vacant right now, with talks of is it Billy Napier? Is that his name?
Yeah, Billy Napier, the Raging Cajun.
University of Louisiana Lafayette, the Raging Cajuns. Impressive resume there at U of L, and interested to see. I think it's a massive culture change for the University of Florida. It's a potentially. He hasn't signed. There's no ink, on paper yet, but it is a potentially large change in terms of the way that they have previously managed their football program. And I'm interested to see the effects of that should Napier be the next coach of the Gators. But with a head coaching vacancy at the University of Oklahoma, there's one name that I think makes the most sense. And his dad is in charge of the program right now. Or is it his brother? I think it's his brother is in charge of the program right now. Mark Stoops, I think, makes a lot of sense heading on down to Oklahoma.
Guess what Mark Stoops did today? Which is why I'm wearing my Kentucky sweatshirt, boys.
What did Mark Stoops do?
Mark Stoops signed a contract extension with the University of Kentucky through 2027.
I saw that.
That boy is going absolutely nowhere.
Wow. Through 2027.
Namaste to you, Gators. But Mark Stoops is going to continue to be a Wildcat, and even said that he is going to fight to put more money into the football program.
Here's the thing, though. Coaches' contracts, they don't mean anything.
That extension, here's the thing. It means at least 2 more years in Kentucky.
Why? Oklahoma comes and hands him a Lincoln Riley deal.
No way. Florida doesn't provide Mark Stoops.
No. I'm not saying Florida. I said Oklahoma.
No, they don't give Mark Stoops that kind of deal.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, relatively speaking, they come and give him an offer he can't walk away from.
Sure.
His contract, he'll walk away from that contract. He's able to do that. It's in every college coach contract has the ability to go, and it's null and void if he gets a better offer. And he has no financial responsibility to the University of Kentucky. So I get why that would feel great, at least for this season. You're right. He's not going to Oklahoma. He just signed that contract. He would be a total asshat if he did that.
Yeah.
He's in a conference right now where he has the ability to compete for a championship, technically. Like, if they were to build a program that they go undefeated, they would be in the college football playoff conversation, obviously. But they don't have the funding right now. Kentucky is not invested in that program from that perspective to be a championship team yet. Yet.
Yeah. So I think that's that was the point of the Stoops extension, was that he has made a point to Kentucky fans that, hey, this is just no longer a basketball school, right? Or this is no longer a school where we win our championships sporadically. And he wants to he set a very clear expectation. He didn't say, I want a national championship. I want the title. That's dumb. You don't do that. You don't do that at Kentucky football. You're over delivering. That's what the Castellini family has done to us for the last 16 years.
Right.
But he did say that he wants to put them as an SEC contender, which he has started to do that. And
it's the next step. That's the next step in their program development.
And here's the thing, is that right now there is a 5-star defensive end that has verbally committed to Kentucky. Now, he's a sophomore, so we still got some time for things to happen. But that would be their first 5-star recruit in the history of the program.
Yeah.
And that's a big step towards them being relevant in the SEC. And I understand your point too, of that, hey, a coach can leave at any time.
Right.
And my I guess my counter to that is, I think we at least see Stoops in Kentucky for 3 more years. I think 2 years is a guarantee. 3 years is me kind of putting a bow on it, because he's not going to leave until he gets that top 10 mark on his resume, right? And maybe it happens next year.
I was going to say, what if they go 10-2 next year, miss the SEC championship to Georgia, and then he's gone?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Look, if here's the thing: if you are a college football coach, and Oklahoma does a little knock on your door and says, "Hey, I'm going to give you $115 million over 10 years, but we're going to load it up in the front a little bit."
You go.
Lexington looks like a small blip in the plane by that point in time, right?
Yeah.
Like that's how life works. If you're successful in whatever business you're in, and your competitor comes in and goes, "Hey, I really like what you do, so I'm going to give you this much more money, but the problem is I'm
going to double your fucking salary. Let's go."
So okay, smell you later. Sorry, A company, A+ company doubled my salary and is going to take care of my family.
Yeah,
sorry, you can't do that, right?
Yeah.
If Oklahoma comes knocking on his door, Kentucky can't counter with anything big, right? It's just like the Castellano situation.
Here's the thing that I do want to say about Stoops, and you'd mentioned this, he wants to get more money into the program. You're like, well, how does a coach get more money in the program? Mark Stoops might be one of the best booster ralliers in college football, and what I mean by that is his ability to engage boosters and get them involved in donating money to the program, which is how you get recruits, ladies and gentlemen. It's been behind curtains, and we've kind of been peaking over the last 5 years. But guess fucking what? Money talks and bullshit walks, especially in college football, especially in the SEC. You gotta pay to get the boys to play, and that's what you have to do. And guess what? I'm just saying this out. I'm just saying it out loud right now. You could see Kentucky football being more relevant and more money and more growth going towards Kentucky football and Kroger Field than you see going into Rupp Arena in the next 10 years. You could see it happening.
Absolutely. Look, Calipari's on a lifetime contract, and all the Land Rovers and Escalades have been handed out, right? They've been doing it for 30 years. But we've barely seen Kentucky football scratch the surface. And guess what Stoops does really well, better than almost every coach of this area. He loves Cincinnati, loves it, has a huge heart on for Cincinnati football. Has even said that some of the best talent that he's recruited in the last 3 or 4 years has come out of the city of Cincinnati.
Right.
So yeah, if you're a Kentucky fan, you eat it up. You're an hour and a half away from a honeypot that barely gets touched besides Ohio State and sometimes Cincinnati, because Cincinnati doesn't, they haven't gotten the big name.
And you're going to get great exposure from a pro scout perspective. You're going to be playing Florida. You're going to be playing Georgia. You're going to be playing Tennessee. You're going to be playing Alabama every 2 years, LSU every 2 years, Auburn every 2 years. You're going to get great exposure there. So if you're looking at, okay, I could go and start right now probably all 4 years at Kent State, or I can go to Kentucky, sit for 2 years and then play my junior and senior year and maybe go pro. Yeah, you're doing that.
Yeah, look at Chris Rodriguez. Chris Rodriguez is a top 10 rusher in college football. He went from being a blip on the radar to they're talking he could be a day 2 running back picked in the draft. He's 5'8". But he's been put in a situation where Stoops' offense gets him the ball 30 times a game, and he's running for 100+ yards, and he's getting in the end zone 2 or 3 times, and he makes big plays. And here's the thing. If you want to get your draft stock up, you want your highlights on ESPN, and Chris Rodriguez is on every ESPN highlight for Kentucky. He is always in the end zone. So, yeah, I mean, I would love to see – look, again, Stoops has done a great job of Commonwealth becoming Kroger Field, right? That happened with Stoops's, presence. Yeah. I would love to see that athletic program put some money somewhere besides Rupp Arena, because I'll tell you, college basketball is getting harder and harder to be the top team.
Yep. It matters more about how you develop talent more than what you spend on them.
Yeah. And I just don't think Calipari is not built that way. He's never coached that way in college basketball. He's always just recruited the best.
He's been,
talent.
I'm at Kentucky, come here.
Yeah. It's not
I'm at Memphis. We're going to win.
Yeah. Look, if you're an 18-year-old 5-star high school basketball player, you can go play overseas right now for $1.5 million. Or you could do what the kid from Princeton did that was supposed to go to Ohio State. Just sit out the year, get signed by New Balance, get paid $750,000, and just do a bunch of showcases, and then still get picked in the top 20. Why not? Or you could play in the Ignite League and make $500,000 and play against your friends probably still. So, yeah, you're not going to get, numbers one. You're not going to get 2 of the top 10 anymore out of high school. You're just not, because these guys are, again, money talks. Yeah. So these guys want money now, especially with NIL.
100%.
You could still you could be from Louisiana and go to LSU and still make the same money that you would have gotten from the boosters at Kentucky.
Yep.
And now it's legal, and now it's consistent. And now if you don't play well right away, that booster that gave you that Land Rover, suddenly it gets repoed out of your apartment parking lot.
Yeah. All it takes is a booster that wants to help the program. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And I think I might have to go throw up after all the Kentucky football I just talked, but nonetheless, it's going to be interesting to see how that program continues to develop. It's going to be interesting to see how things shake out in terms of all of the coaching carousel that has happened. It still has yet to happen over the next few days. And this is all, ladies and gentlemen, this is all going to happen within the next 4 weeks. There's not a single college football program on earth that wants to wait till January to sign, or rather hire, their head coach. So this is all going to be happening very, very shortly. Baseball free agency is going to continue to heat up. We have NFL football that literally we have week 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 8. We got 6 weeks of football left before the playoffs, boys and girls. We got conference championships this weekend, Army Navy this week, the week after that. And then we're going to be getting into the college football playoffs. It's right around the corner. It's the most wonderful time. Can't wait. It's going to be awesome. So I appreciate everybody for joining us tonight here on Rally Tough Sports Tuesday Town Hall. If you haven't already, like the video, share the video, follow the page. We'll be back Thursday night for a little pick'em action for week 13. It's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to talk about that Bengals Steelers game from Sunday. I love you, Bobby. But yeah, we'll see you guys on Thursday. Peace.